The theme of the discussion is that we would like to talk with someone who had a very different background other than marketing, and they shifted towards marketing.
My whole career was actually like the byproduct of circumstances.
I mean, this whole thing started with a cold email that you sent to the CEO of Veamly.
Instead of focusing on being interesting yourself, try to be interested in the person you're talking to.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Genie Talks. This is Bilal Aistif, and I'm your host for this episode today. Today, we have a very interesting topic, the unexpected marketer. The theme of the discussion is that we would like to talk with someone who had a very different background other than marketing, and they shifted towards marketing. So today, we have with us as a guest speaker Azzen Abidi. Azzen is originally belongs from Tunisia. He made a huge, I would say, a bold career shift. He pivoted from being a software engineer to becoming a growth marketing expert. He has 6+ years of experience in B2B SaaS marketing. He is an ex-employee of Veamly, where he closely worked with the CEO and other stakeholders to create an $8 million USD pipeline of revenue. And this was done completely bootstrapped. He is also a mentor of Founder Institute Accelerator program. Azzen, thank you for taking the time to be at our podcast. How are you doing today?
Yeah, Bilal, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing great. I'm super excited for our conversation today.
I am too as well. All right. So, Azzen, I would like to jump into the meat of the conversation here. So, you were a software engineer and now a growth marketing expert. Like, it's a huge career shift. I would like to know, how did this happen? What was the motivation behind it? And I would like the audience to know the entire story.
Yeah, sure. It's a great way to kick this off. My whole career was actually like the byproduct of circumstances, I would say. Like, to give you a little bit of context, I got hooked on blogging early, like 2015, started writing a Medium, and like my content started getting noticed. And then in
Mm-hmm.
2017, while I was still in engineering school, I applied for a virtual internship program backed by Stanford University called the Civic Tech Leadership Program. My startup idea ended up got picked among the top 6 finalists. They flew west to Silicon Valley, got introduced to the whole ecosystem there, and when I came back here, unfortunately, I didn't have the skills, didn't have the experience to execute on the idea, and the best way to learn for me is to just work for a startup. And at the time, I was following an entrepreneur. Shout out to Genie, that will later become eventually my boss, the CEO of Veamly. Started with a very bad cold email, received no response. 6 months later, as fate would have it, I would notice they were looking for a marketing intern. I would apply, they would remember me. I end up being like the first intern that got picked that summer. After
Mm-hmm.
3 months, they liked me, offered me like a full-time job. I stayed there for 4 years, and the rest, as they say, is history.
All right, very nice to know. So, I mean, this whole thing started with a cold email that you sent to the CEO of Veamly, right?
Yes.
All right. I usually don't, think that cold emails work, but that is still interesting to know. So, I would like to, talk to you about the fact I have an opinion, right? I have an opinion
Yeah.
that software engineers and marketing people, they have a very different mindset, right? And I can talk with my personal experience, because in 2020, in late 2023, we launched in ConnectGenie AI a post highlighting feature. right? The intention behind feature, that why I created it, was so that, because when you're scrolling through LinkedIn's feed, you do not always click on the see more button of each post to read through the entire post, right? So what I wanted was that if people can store some keywords in our extension, and then as they will scroll through the post with those keywords without even clicking the see more button, would get highlighted. So the benefit of this would be that people would focus their engagement efforts properly, and they would have better content consumption, right? So I was looking at this from a B2C perspective. At the same time, in late 2023, I hired a marketing consultant. Now she actually told me that, Bilal, you are looking at this feature, you are marketing this feature from a B2C perspective. You need to look at it from a B2B perspective, right? And I said, how can I look at it from a B2B perspective? It's not like that. She said that you have to see that if someone has stored some keywords and they are seeing a relevant post, then the author of that post and the people who are commenting and or at their post, they would see this author as a relevant lead, and the commenters as the relevant lead, right? So you need to see it from a B2B perspective. And I concluded that I could have never seen it from this angle, because I think quite differently. So I have an opinion, and you can validate that marketing people and the engineering people have a completely different mindset. And if you also agree to that, what do you think, that you did you also had to face any difficulty in adapting this mind shift?
Yeah, I think you are spot on right there, and this is something I experienced head first once I decided to do the career shift. I always describe myself as Steve Campbell say, a hacker in a marketer's body, and the big difference I noticed here is like marketer focus like on the benefits of the product, on the customer experience, the customer journey, like what's the perfect channel for distribution, where I can talk to my customers. However, usually engineers, like in your example, focus on the technology, focus on the feature, focus on how can I like tweak the product in a way in order to gain like an advantage with the algorithm part, because even in your case you said you never like looked at it like the B2B space because you were so tunnel vision into like that keyword thing, how am I going to optimize for that, rather than focusing what's going to be the benefit of the customer and how can that help them solve the core problem.
Yeah, I do understand that, and I do agree that I was always looking from an advantage, that how I can give advantage from of the commenting feature to our users. So I do agree to that. So do you think that professionals who are engineers, right, like who have a software engineering background, who have been working in the software engineering background, do you think that they can leverage their past experience as an engineer into the marketing side, if they shift towards product marketing? Do you think that they can leverage their experience?
For sure, Bilal. And I think with the rise of technology and artificial intelligence, I can think of like two valid scenarios here, which I was lucky to be in both when I started like at Veamly. The first case is like when you are part of a small team with limited budgets, the reality of it as an engineer, you can use your expertise to automate repetitive tasks, to test new ideas, to find like shortcuts and corners in order to gain that leverage. And in my case with Veamly, like one big like thing that made a difference is like the CEO gave me like complete freedom, and this speaks a lot like in the mindset of like being in the right environment. When you have like the support of like the right stakeholders at the company, you can have the freedom as an engineer to use your technical skills to actually make the marketing gain like a competitive advantage and that kind of edge. It's not only on like the financial side, but also how you solve problems differently. Because as an engineer, when you talk to marketers, you will have like your own perspective, like a different way to look at things, which is basically the tech stack behind the whole operation, rather than thinking of the interfacing of the customer and the customer journey. And the second
Understood.
scenario is when you're marketing to developers. Like a lot of marketers like struggle when they're working like on a product for developers and especially startups. And like the little hack I learned, and this is something again I experienced myself, because at a certain point Veamly shifted to be like a tool like targeting like engineering teams. Is like having a developer like as part of the marketing team will help you craft like the perfect copy and adjust the message of the company, because the reality of it, like software engineers usually they're not very eager to talk to salespeople or marketers, because sadly they have the affinity, oh, they're trying to sell me something. However, if you say, hey, I understand your field, I'm also an engineer, we're building this product, are you open to talk? Most likely you're going to get them into a call, and then it will be easy even to convert them as a customer from there.
Understood. So, you're saying that when this startup or the enterprise is about are directly dealing toward developers, then in that case, they can leverage quite easily, right?
Yes.
Understood. All right. So the other question is that, the in your case you did send a cold email and it worked for you, right? But in case if there is a software engineer, right, and they are willing to move into marketing, right? Now their LinkedIn personal brand that only projects the details that they have a solid tech background, right? So now in any traditional recruitment process, usually people prefer that if they would like to hire someone, then they should have a relevant experience or a relevant educational background, right? For example, if I want to hire a software engineer, then I would prefer a person who has at least an educational background in software engineering or computer science, or they can also have some relevant experience, right? So, and I think that naturally applies to marketing as well, right? So my question here is that if someone who is a software engineer and his LinkedIn personal brand right now projects the details that he has a solid tech background, how can he work on his personal brand so that he would be able to score a job in marketing domain?
That's a great question, Bilal. And I would say this is not, there is no like a step by step blueprint necessarily, but I believe you have to start somewhere. And based on my own experience, the first thing is to use like the power of social media. We live in an age and era where media basically is the front end of the internet, like code started as the back end of the internet. It can be as simple as like, hello LinkedIn, like I've been a software engineer for like 5 years or whatever. I'm looking into transitioning into marketing. Can you recommend to me some sources or like some people I should connect with? And start like building in public. This is like the term we use as developer, as you know, when we're trying to build a product in public. In this case, like your own personal brand is actually the product that you're building. That means I would, for example, start taking marketing certification from HubSpot Academy, and then I share like as LinkedIn content. This is what I learned about copywriting, for example, and I share. And then whenever I'm gonna apply to an opportunity aside of my own resume, I will have this LinkedIn profile as a portfolio that shows, hey, I learned, right? I connected with people. And another thing that's super crucial is to start like with the intention to help people. Like and you mentioned the cold email, and I told you in the beginning, like I sent the worst cold email ever because I used to believe in the fake it until you make it mantra, which is to show that you are an expert while you're not necessarily that, right? Or try your best to like ask without giving back. If I had to do it all over again, I would just send an email saying, hey X, I am sure you get a lot of messages, but I'm gonna take 60 seconds uh, like from you. I am X. I am a software engineer. I'm looking to transition like into marketing. I would really appreciate it if you can like share some tips, or like if you have a marketing internship, I would love to just help and learn, and it will be for free. And then at the end of the email, I say, I totally understand if you can't reply, no worries. And you say like cheers and thanks. Now, this example of cold email achieved three things. First, build empathy with whoever like you're cold emailing. Like in this case, a busy CEO or like a CMO or someone like a decision maker, right? Second, in like two lines, you established like context and like you gave them a way to help you and deliver value to you at the same time. And the final piece is like the call to action while getting them off the hook. That means if like they can't answer you, that's totally okay. So there is no guilt. And I tested this like formula like recently with one like of the big influencers in the growth space, and I got an answer. Of course, like cold emailing is like a numbers game, but having like the right approach and the right personalization helps a lot.
Understood. So basically, the thing is that I do understand that you have to get some certifications to put your things on your LinkedIn, so that people can see that now you are becoming relevant to marketing, right? So, but
Yes.
the thing is that you have to also rebrand your profile in other ways, like create content on LinkedIn that can be helpful, so that people can also see that this guy is actually building some authority in the new domain that he's trying to move into.
Yes, I actually like revamping the profile should be like the top priority because this will affect like the search result on
Uh
LinkedIn.
huh. Go
Like
ahead.
when they're looking like for like a marketer or like a specific role, and I would even like move it a notch a bit and say depending on the market or the location, you can even like play a lot with the location. For example, if you're looking into working with a startup in San Francisco, chances are if you put your location in San Francisco as a start, will get you in front of like the search results in the San Francisco area. And they always tell people just because in the job description, like you don't have all the skills or you may not necessarily be the right fit, doesn't mean you should not have a conversation. Like I have had an opportunity recently discussing joining a startup where actually the initial role was not for me, but I was able to convince the recruiter to, hey, if I'm gonna join you, I want this role. And they ended up actually being open to that. And a lot of people miss a lot of opportunities because like there is this misconception that an interview is a one-way street as opposed to it's just a conversation, and almost everything is up to a negotiation if you approach it with the right mindset.
Understood. Understood. All right. So I would also like to ask that how do you think see that tools like ConnectGenie AI, or even if our competitors, they can help people build on their personal brands? What do you think that how is the AI can help in this area?
I definitely agree that AI can help in this area and like ConnectGenie and other competitors. However, there is a lot of misunderstanding of like how AI is better used right now because a lot of people will tell you, oh, the copy or like the content that AI generated is not human like or is not good enough. Yes, that's true, but as opposed to the old method, like the AI will help get you there faster to the end goal. For example, prior to AI, you need to brainstorm ideas from scratch. You will sit and think and do Google research and write the first draft, and you won't like it, and you keep editing, like, and you spend like 5 hours sometimes to have like the perfect post, as opposed to now, like with tools like Connect Genies and other products, you can just like give the prompt to like the AI, and they will start like with few ideas, and you start like interacting with the AI until you get like to a draft good enough, and then you edit. And I experienced this myself when I did earlier this year the 30-day LinkedIn channels, which is basically writing like a post every single day. Like the AI was like a game changer for me in terms of efficiency, speed, and understanding like what kind of posts are necessarily relevant to my target audience, and even up a notch. Some products with AI in like the personal branding space can even give you like access to the best performing posts in like your niche, which is super powerful.
Understood. Basically, the thing is that I think that uh, and I can talk about from my personal experience again. I did not even bother to post content on LinkedIn for a very long while after I had started my professional career, because the thing is, it's obviously it's a hassle. You have to think about things and then write them down. And I do agree with you that ConnectGenie or tools like ConnectGenie, they are not there to exactly do the posting for you, but actually at least they get started somewhere. Without it, you're just not even bothered. You just don't even bother to get started with creating content and engagement. You just like before ConnectGenie, the commenting in the comment section, people usually used to have thanks for sharing, agreed. But now they can at least come up with a comment, and then they can tweak it a little bit to make it sound like what they have, and that can spark some meaningful conversation. So I think that in that sense, tools like these, they do help. So since we are talking about AI, I would like to ask you that how do you see that AI is transforming the growth marketing domain? How do you see that AI from that angle?
Right now, since ChatGPT like got released in 2022, from what I noticed, like in the growth marketing part, is just helped like marketers build their technical stack and their marketing mode. For example, like in the old days, you will have to have like someone monitoring your live chat on the website to talk to the lead and to capture the lead and get them to the call. Right now, there are like tools powered by AI that will do that through automated workflows for you. Or talking about cold email. Right now, there are products powered by AI. Like literally, they will take the context of the lead from your website the moment they land there, try to understand like to which company are looking for, what's their role, find the right angle to personalization, and generate a warm email to them directly. And those are some of the few cases, but in the grand scheme of things, AI offered us as growth marketers another like way to brainstorm ideas faster, execute on experiments faster, while keeping like the budget and like the headcount of the team super low. To give you an example, like prior to AI, you will need at least like three marketers to, for example, run your content engine, to take care of like your social media, and for example making sure like the lead generation machine is oiled and maintained. But right now with AI, with the right tools, you can have just one marketer that I call the orchestrator of the different AI tool that you're plugging in your different tech stack to make that happen.
Understood. Right. So, you, this is very important. This is a very important question for me because I've seen that in your profile that you were able to help a company achieve an $8 million worth of revenue pipeline, right? So, I would like to know, because I also want $8 million, man, right? $8 million worth of revenue. So I would like to know how did you do it, and you can give some highlight of the process so that myself and the listeners can learn and maybe apply to our startups as well.
Sure. When I joined Veamly at the time, first as an intern, like the first thing that made a difference is like for an early stage startups, we were like super heavy on the processes and the organization. For example, there was like a complete clear flow how to start with a blog post idea until you get published, and what to do after publishing, which is content distribution. And there was a lot of internal documentation how to do that. And as I said earlier in the beginning, and this makes the difference between like a CEO who knows marketing and the CEO who just trying to figure things out on the go. And I deem myself super lucky. Like I kickstarted my career with one of the best rising CEOs in Silicon Valley, OnDeck Alum, who truly understand marketing. Because in the early stage of a startup, that can make it or break it. And once we started that, we did like little experiments in terms of understand which channel works best and what kind of content works best. To give you some example, like the first channel that was already being tested when I joined was like the blog post, distributing through Twitter, because Twitter was our main channel in terms of our target market for B2B space, right? So like for example, like every Tuesday and Thursday, we publish a blog post and we distribute it on Twitter. And then when I joined, we did something else. We leveraged like SaaS events for that. And this is something I participated in as an intern. And I had my first viral campaign on Twitter. Literally, the idea that we pitched at the time, like I tested a meme and like it got a lot of attention for the event. And then I did another one, and like it got picked up, and another one and another one. And what we ended up doing eventually, we shifted like the whole strategy from trying to marketing our own brand, our own product, to actually marketing the event. And what our CEO told us after that event, we ended up getting the most engaged company social media prize badge for that. Is like people would stop her mid-event and say, "Oh, you're Emna, the CEO of Veamly. We love Veamly from the memes." And that got us like a lot of traction. And what we ended up doing is like we extracted that playbook and we replicated it again, like through other events. And every single time it works. And we had a lot of room in terms of like trying ideas on the spot. One of our most viral interviews in events was our CEO interview with Dave Gerhardt, the CMO of Thrift at the time. It was literally spontaneous. She opened her phone, she recorded like a 2-minute interview, and she asked like 3 questions. And we kept the spirit of experimentation all along, like the 4 years. Like another thing that we experimented with, for example, is like writing parody songs about our product and launching it on social media, and people would connect. And other thing that we did is launching twice on Product Hunt. And what is great about Product Hunt will get you like instant feedback whether there is demand for your product or not. You won't only get like your first few customers, but you will get a lot of feedback. And the third thing that really, really, really worked for us is focusing on like educating the audience rather than asking them to necessarily buy from us. This is this is way before we even built the product. We started first experimenting with the live webinar format, and we noticed, okay, now we have the process. The live was good, but we want to lower the pressure. And what we ended up doing is launching a podcast in the middle of pandemic. Like we launched like 5 episodes, start to test. People liked it. Then we launched season 2. By the time I left the company, season 3 was already in post production, like the processes. So this is like in a nutshell how we did it. There was also like a lot of uncompetitive advantage, like compared to other startups, which is in our case, our CEO was really well known and connected in Silicon Valley. So like she would go to events and like talk directly to our biggest B2B customers. At a certain point, we had like Twitter, Google in our pipeline. You would just get into the website and they will just sign up, and we will know later on after conversing with the CEO that was like she met like a VP in an event or something. Then so something like that.
So basically, product I do understand that podcast, product hunt, these things help you. I would not like to take too much time, but would you be able to give a brief the success criteria for product hunt? Like not the success criteria, like what made you successful on product hunt? Like just a brief overview, because I'm also in this process these days, to launch on product hunt. So would really appreciate the answer to that.
Yeah, sure. So, the success of product hunts like depends on multiple factors. In our case, for example, you usually, if you are launching like a B2B products, ideally you launch during the week. If you're launching like a side project, ideally you launch during the weekend because there won't be a lot of competition. At the time as well, when we first launched on Product Hunt, something that made a big deal for us is choosing like the right hunter for your product. And in our case at the time, we picked like a Chris Messina. For those who don't know, Chris Messina is the inventor of hashtag, and that like gave us like a lot of traffic. And another thing is like to build distribution even before launching the product. That means warming the product hunt community and like delivering value. So once you launch the product and you DM them or like you tag them or something, they will be happy to give you feedback as well. And this is what I love about the product hunt community. Like people are like super helpful. And
Hmm.
so
I
what I
agree.
tell people, don't just create your account on like the day of the launch and you upvote your own product and you expect to like top. To the contrary, like the product hunt algorithm has like certain detectors, they will notice those new accounts and most likely you will drop
Flag it.
in rating if like who upvoted you is like a new account.
Sure. Right. So I think, I mean, I'm also following the same strategy. I'm trying to help people on Product Hunt, and people on Product Hunt are also very generous. They're trying to help us as well. And I think it's mostly the product, the success, and I will get to know once I'm done. But I think mostly the success of Product Hunt is related to the community building. What the value that you can give to the community eventually you would get back something in return, right? So I think this has been a wonderful conversation. I would like to know that what are the plans for Azzen Abidi in future? What's next for you?
Yeah, so right now for 2024, I've been focusing on like helping other B2B tech founders use LinkedIn to build their personal brand and like build their content strategy. This has been my focus for 2024. And what's next for me, hopefully, is to get to help more founders like do this, especially with how AI is going and like especially like a lot of products are powered with AI. It would be interesting to see how like content and building that personal brand will help you like have that differentiator of your product.
Right. Any final advice that you would like to give our listeners who are trying to make a career shift from a different background to marketing, or they're specifically working on their personal brand? Any advice?
My advice basically would be to stay curious and open to learning, build your personal brand, and making a career shift requires time. I know my story seems like the perfect scenario, right? Like it happened overnight, but there was a lot of work behind. Like I built like my blog for 2 years before it even got me like traction or it got me noticed on Google or something. And I want to focus on the networking part, especially because as someone with software engineering background, I noticed a lot software engineer like struggle with the soft skills and they see like networking as like very like superficial and they
Waste of
don't
time.
know how to do it is to just start with small steps. Like I love the quote by Ayla Hormozy that helped me personally like network better, which is instead of focusing on being interesting yourself, Try to be interested in the person you're talking to by just asking questions. Like like for example, in the realm of LinkedIn, if you find like a good post, write a comment. If there is someone that you want to talk to based on his content, write a comment and say, "Hey, I loved what you say. Would love to connect with you sometimes, or let's have a chat or something." And don't be afraid to like slide into the DMs. It's a numbers game. Like, yes, the rejection can be scary, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but I think that the getting inside the DM, you need to have a personalized touch to that gives you an edge, and not just look at it from a numbers perspective. Because when you have a personalized note that is being sent to the recipient, then there is more likely that they would accept it, right?
Yes.
So anyhow, I think it's been a wonderful conversation. I've got to learn a lot, and I hope that our audience will also learn a lot. I'm very grateful to you for taking the time to be at the podcast, and I will make sure that we leave your social media details in the description of the video, and I'll ask my editor to also put it on in the video so that people can reach out to you. Again, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bilal. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And to the audience, I would like to see you in another Genie Talks episode very soon. Thank you so much. All right.